Welcome, everyone, to the year of 2019 or 2020, based off of when we released this. At the time of this recording, Microsoft are about to unveil the Xbox Scarlet. But for now, folks, let us turn back the clock. Let us go back in time. Back to before the Xbox One became the laughingstock it was, back when it was sort of a different kind of laughingstock.
Job, I have no idea what you're talking about. This is an IP from Crytek, not Microsoft.
No, Tio, we're going back in time.
I know, but interesting. But anyway, Pedro, what is this?
We're going back in time to when the Xbox One stood a ghost of a chance.
Oh wow, immediately.
No, sorry, Jova. From the moment they revealed that console of all the DRM stuff, that console was dead on arrival.
Well, this was after they made a new version of the console that got rid of all that stupid crap. So
wow,
what a
blend menu.
Actually, Jova, no. This game came out. This was a launch game for the Xbox One, and the Kinect-less, the Kinect-free version only released a few months later.
Pedro, when I say different version, I mean the one without the stupid DRM or being region locked or all that stupid crap.
Ryse Mark's companion.
So yes, Pedro, why don't you tell our audience what we'll be looking at today?
This is Ryse Son of Rome, everyone. This is a launch game for the Xbox One. And it was actually a passion project from the founder of Crytek, the German developer that created the Cry engine free, the same engine that powered Sonic Boom: Rise of Lyric.
Oh, of course the Germans made a game that's all about.
They're mostly famous for the Crisis games.
Wait,
and some of Far Cry games.
Wait, you're telling me that the Germans?
Emperor Nero.
Wait, you're telling me that the Germans made a game about killing Britons? Huh? What a shock!
Yes, an entire game of where you're a Roman soldier killing Britons.
Unless you actually to go to the UK island, I don't see how a fitting scenario would be because the Britons never even thought about invading the Roman Empire.
That wasn't until like years later, wasn't
it? They were the Germans instead, not the Britons.
Oh, Corky, the Germans like to take credit for everything.
Studies of history, the Britons never wanted to leave their own island for a long time.
So yeah,
our islands are cozy.
Alright, I'll start with a positive thing, because even though I find this game to be an overall failure, I will agree with something. The cutscenes are pretty damn well directed.
Oh,
and the graphics for the time that this came out, they look fantastic. I mean, obviously 6 years later they show their age, but
it is a launch title for a next-gen console. But compared to something like, say, the Killzone game Guerrilla made, it looks a bit better. I think
they're a bit busy at the minute.
So wait, what year does this take place?
I don't know, though, they never say.
Let me check, maybe Wikipedia says it.
Okay, so yeah, this is our main character, Marius.
Mamma mia!
Well, it is in Italy.
Oh, it's an alternate take.
Specifically Rome. This takes place, as you covered already. Guess everybody during the Roman Empire.
So yeah, one thing I'll give this game right off the bat, it does have pretty good production values, especially for a game that was an Xbox One launch title.
Oh yeah, if there's one thing of this game that's definitely successful, it's the presentation and the acting. The actors, despite having a very thin script to work with, they definitely try their hardest. So yeah, Ryse Son of Rome is a beat 'em up game where it's all press A to deflect attacks, aka parry.
Oh, so it uses the Batman Arkham combat.
Y to use your shield to hit the enemies, and X to hit with a sword. You can also choose which reward you want for finishing an execution. There you go. Triangle to continue. Here's how the QTEs work. Instead of having a button prompt, whatever the color that flashes in the adversary's body, that's the current spinning color of the button. Like for example, the Y button is the yellow button on the Xbox One controller, meaning if the adversary flashes yellow, you press Y. If it flashes blue, you press X. Basically, it requires you to be familiar with the Xbox One controller, which means Teo will be a bit confused.
I'll admit, it is actually pretty intuitive. I'd compare this actually more to Assassin's Creed gameplay rather than the Arkham gameplay, Teo. Especially seeing as how there's a lot of one-on-one action.
You're probably wondering, what does it trigger? Basically, when you start beating the crap out of an enemy, eventually a skull will show up over the top of the enemy. That means that you can now press the R trigger, or R2 if you prefer, to now start this QTE, which is an execution. Every time you perform an execution properly, you gain, notice how they said that alpha gain? That means that every time I do an execution, I gain whatever bonus it's set to. So basically, as long as you keep executing your enemies with QTEs, you'll be always regaining your health and you'll never die.
Think of it like bathing in the enemy's blood.
Well, literally.
Yeah. So yeah.
Immediately, this already kind of causes a problem. It's incredibly easy to regain your health, which means if you play your cards right, you will never die in these combat sequences.
So yeah, the difficulty isn't exactly the biggest, but hey, maybe the game itself can be fun.
Okay.
Rick the Barbarian charge.
Well, Jov, I'll get to it, but for now, let's watch this.
I know, yeah.
Let's just say there's a good reason why nobody remembers this game nowadays.
Yeah, basically, folks, I know what you're thinking.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, basically, folks, here's what you're probably thinking. SCWRM, this game actually looks pretty good and intuitive. How could it have failed? Well, okay, aside from being on the Xbox One, the problems will soon pop up soon enough.
For the record, this game was a launch game exclusive for the Xbox
Yeah,
One, but
it was amongst those fabled new IPs that Phil Spencer did announce at the launch of the Xbox One.
This is why I say.
However, well, technically it was Don Matrick who was still in charge of it.
Yeah, you're right.
This is why I say that this was back when it still had something of a chance, seeing as how this was, they showed that they were listening to people.
Look how good I am at this game, too. Anyway, see, Teo, I'm better at this game than God of War.
I'm already dreading how scripted the boss fights will be. But actually, it was interesting.
Don't worry, Teo, we'll get to it.
But you know what? This actually reminds me instead of the Lord of the Rings actual, tie-in video game like Return of the King and Two Towers, including the fact that you need to push the ladders here. It's almost identical to the Siege of Minas Tirith.
Just to continue, however, after Phil Spencer became the head of Xbox and he started his Play Anywhere initiative, meaning that every Xbox One game will also be on PC, this game was ported to the PC.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was directly on Steam or first it came on the Microsoft Store.
First it came out on the Xbox Store, but later it came to Steam.
And since then, Crytek has retained the ownership of the IP.
They do. However, from what I've been able to understand from sources that I have, let's just say everybody, I've been familiarizing myself with the Xbox community in recent times. From my sources, the reason the developers did want to make a sequel, but apparently they had a falling out with Microsoft. But anyway,
also this. Go on.
Oh yeah, this is another thing. Originally, this game was meant to be a Kinect-only title. However, it was changed during development so that you can just the Kinect is only used for voice commands. So whenever you need your soldiers to fire a volley, you can say fire volley in your Kinect, or you can just hold the L1 button until it triggers.
Of course, holding the L1 button is
how confusing this game would have been by using the Kinect, how flailing you had to do with your arms.
On the subject of Play Anywhere, is Rare Replay been on PC yet?
That's the thing, Dwebs. Rare Replay is the only one right now.
Also, this is yet another game that has a foreign country, people from a foreign country speaking with a British accent in the English dub.
Again, too, it's an English voice acting, British English, because it's European English.
I'm thinking a stereotypical Italian accent like in the Asterix properties.
Because, Teo, that would be a huge no-no in today's internet climate.
Honestly, you know what they should do?
Well, there are ways to do it, I suppose.
Honestly, just go for the middle ground like Assassin's Creed 2 did.
It's usually easier to get British actors, I guess.
It's funny because Roger Craig Smith can put on a pretty good Italian accent.
Which our protagonist apparently voiced by a guy called John Hopkins, but I have no idea what else he did. Oh, hold on. Oh, he was someone in Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh, okay, no, it was someone in the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland. Weird. Oh, he's someone else. But anyway, go on.
Anyway, basically this is a turret section of sorts where you're supposed to hit any of the archers and even hit some kind of barrels with fire so you can defeat them. These particulars, you're supposed to do it before the balance defense meter on the top right corner runs out. However, This section is so easy that I don't even think for the record, everybody, this is a blind playthrough, so I don't really know what I'm doing here. Basically, oh, and by the way, every time one of those instructions happens with, you know, ordering your soldier to do something, just make sure you hold it. Like, there's literally nothing, there's literally no bad effect from doing it.
Also, I gotta say, Pedro, I love how the arrows, yes, that's a single flaming arrow, was enough to take out a structure just like that.
Well, that's because he hit an
hit
explosive
something?
barrel, technically.
Yeah, not for that last one there. He kind of hit
Like
the
these,
pole more so. I mean, it's a little silly when you look at it. I mean, not saying that, you know, that makes it bad, you know, just a little silly. Though I will admit, it is nice how they do keep the detail, you know, for this turret section. You launch flaming arrows from a giant crossbow.
I suppose these also served as a technical demonstration on how many models the Xbox One could handle. Mind you, the 360 already had that Rising to showcase how they could do it, but I guess this was the next step.
Actually, Dead Rising 3 was one of the launch games for the Xbox One. So.
Wait, Dead Rising 3? Don't you mean Dead Rising 4?
No, 3 was a launch, not technically a launch if I recall, but it was still an Xbox exclusive for a long time.
Yeah.
4 was multi-plat instead.
For the record, there's nothing to those Kinect/L1 prompts. Just do them when they show up. They can only benefit you. And I don't particularly know what exactly I'm doing here. I'm just shooting
the frame rate.
Whoa!
And I won. I don't quite know how, but I won.
Yeah, that's a thing. The frame rate
Poor
can
Marius.
chug a bit, unfortunately.
Well, considering this is a launch game, I'm a bit lenient on it.
I know, it's still unfortunate, but, you know, just mentioning it.
Sure. Alright, so now we can do an upgrade from our skill tree. You know what's interesting?
Why are you wasting time buying upgrades? Protect your emperor!
The game told me to. Anyway, you can purchase with Valor, which is basically stuff you win from, you know, beating enemies.
Performing gold the game,
Or you can go and purchase gold with real money to just unlock everything else if you want.
Yes, the age of microtransactions.
However, Teo, nowadays you can just go on the Xbox store and freely purchase 50,000 gold for free, and which will immediately allow you to unlock everything from the get-go without any additional costs. So, yay, I guess.
Guess it comes with, you know, the game's community kind of shutting down.
Yeah, basically. This game also had a multiplayer, but I don't particularly care.
You're probably not missing much, considering how last I checked, the community for this game is kind of
evaporated.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
the multiplayer is online only, so... Anyway, cutscene.
Here, help me! I command you! My emperor, the palace defenses have been breached. I'm not worried about the barbarians! I'm worried about him! We need to get you somewhere secure. Secure? Nowhere secure from this demon. We need to get you to a safe
What are you
place.
talking
Your chambers?
Don't worry, Teo, we'll explain.
No, the vaults! This way!
Okay.
Escort Nero to the vault.
You know,
Really, it looks
Marius,
more like
it's not a
he's
good time
escorting
to
us to
mention
the
that
vault.
Nero was kinda crazy.
We'll get into that, Teo, don't worry.
Theo, you're telling me that the guy who may or may not have had to do with his father's death might have been a little crazy?
Jova, let's not get ahead of the game now, are we?
I mean, anyone who's studied
Yeah, that's
history
what it
should
was.
know that.
How did
was
you
it?
get inside?
Hold on. I know about Nero, but was Marius an actual famous figure from this time?
No.
Wait,
No, they're
I was
operating
talking about Nero.
They're operating on the same logic of Shadow of Rome, a PS2 game IP from Capcom, actually. It's not a licensed title, it's properly a proper original IP. It's just that it includes some historical figures like Octavius, First Emperor.
It's kind of like the Assassin's Creed formula. You're sort of playing an original character in a historical event. Go on.
You've already seen pretty much all of the game. It's either these sections or those sections where I'm going around giving orders to my army. Well, there's also another one involving one of those multi-shield things like an asterisk. But outside of that, this is basically the game. Just this over and over and over.
Well,
And the game
does it have like variation, like different weapons and stuff?
Nope.
Oh, damn it.
But Pedro, surely they would throw in enemies that would help mix up the formula, right?
Except there's only like 7 character models in the entire game. Because you all trust me, too. Later on, we're going to.
Yeah, you'll be attacked by 2 identical models. Look at that.
Yeah, this is one of
now.
the.
This is like Heavy Rain now. Where I
Yeah,
found
this
the
is
two
yeah.
people in the
Yeah,
park.
this is one of the caveats of this game. Apparently they sacrificed variety to get the game looking good.
I need to remind everyone that another sort of launch title for the PS4 and Xbox One was Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor, which through an RNG factor could manage to get an almost endless combination of different looking orcs. With it, this game literally has no excuse.
Like, okay, we get that you're gonna have similar looking models, but shield it better, for crying in the bucket. It's blatant here, and considering how this was definitely, by this generation of gaming, players were about immersion, it's very immersion breaking.
Ni no Kuni 2 reuses its models. Like, for example, you'll see a model that, except the difference that it will be a different color or a different hair color or anything like that. But Ni no Kuni 2 was made on a more limited budget compared to this game, so it's more excusable. This is a first-party Xbox game. It's funded by fucking Microsoft, a $1 trillion company.
And I know
so it
what
doesn't
you...
really.
Sorry.
So it doesn't really have any excuse. Go ahead.
And I know what some of you audience may be...
John, I'm gonna have to interrupt you here.
Oh,
you're asking up.
The Barbarian Warlord.
Yes, here's our first boss too.
Wow, that is looks so underwhelming. Wait, what?
Hold on, Tail. Hold on. You think that's rich? Hold on.
I love how he's apparently fireproof.
B to do a dodge roll to dodge thing.
Sure.
All right, let's get him.
Hack. Slash.
Let me guess, you can just push him in.
And that's the boss battle.
Oh, so warlord he is.
Essentially, what the bosses
Sorry, James, you have to do better.
essentially
That was the first boss of the game, everybody.
Basically,
wait,
folks.
don't tell me. Secret
Well, I mean, he did say the vaults, and vaults
so
are kind of meant.
stupid.
Okay. To be fair, he did say the vaults, and vaults are kind of meant to be.
But that's the thing, Dweebs. It's hard to explain, but God of War is chock full. A game like God of War or Prince of Persia, if you remember, are chock full of these kind of contraptions that have the secret passages.
Hold on, this is important.
Oh, Damocles. Yeah, the Damocles sword.
We're gonna explain who Damocles is later.
Never interfere with the affairs of mortals. Oh, and what great oracle told you this, General? My father. We will be safe here. I do believe we will be safe.
One of us, maybe.
I pray to the gods. We will be safe. We will be safe.
Is that the safe word today?
Yeah, today's safe word
How
is.
many times I can pronounce safe?
Did they not have a thesaurus on them or something? Why not say two or whatever?
Yeah, I should probably mention a thing about this game script. They like to use... apparently
And
somebody...
I'm gonna tell you my life story now for some reason.
Basically...
So wait, this is like in medias res and we start back?
Yeah, now he's gonna tell.
sort of.
Now he's gonna tell us his entire story for some reason.
Basically, Tio, I hope you like flashbacks, because this game's got a lot of them.
Yeah, just like Quantum Break, this entire story is told in flashback.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind, but I usually don't mind the medias res.
Well, it's not so. Hold on, I'll get to it.
My story begins some 10 years past.
This is my story.
Yeah.
Listen it for even me the last time, whatever.
See, my issue too is that it comes out of nowhere. Marius has no real reason to tell all of this to the Emperor. They could have
Let me
found
guess,
a more natural way.
The payoff is that through the course of the story, we learn that Nier is actually evil, and the payoff at the end is that Marius kills him.
Teo, have you played this game before?
Dang
Fucking
it. But yeah, that's sort of how it ends.
It's so telegraphed.
Alright, so here's his father.
You look fine, my son.
Alright, Dwebs, allow me to remind you that something's gonna happen that you're not gonna like.
His father dies off screen.
Not the father. But yes, good guess.
I didn't join the army to bask in
I mean,
Anyway, yeah,
this is-
like you did
He just became a legionnaire and he returned home, basically.
All in good time.
I mean, it's even worse when off
Hold on,
screen
hold
than
on.
it happened in a video game.
Not all your enemies will be found on the
My God, really? Already
Foreshadowing.
you're telegraphing.
Oh, look, it's Mummy!
Well, now.
Let me look at you.
Ah, that face.
Please.
Your sister is eager to see you.
You will see her soon enough, my love. For now, I wish to speak with our son alone.
Yeah, get back in the kitchen, woman. Oh,
Go and find your sister.
seriously, what the hell?
Oh, sister. I mean, this is the Roman Empire, so we all know what they do with sisters back then, I guess. So yes.
Depends.
Let's see what
Pedro, I don't know if you base your experience while watching The Gladiator, but it's not like that.
Well, whatever.
Oh, tutorial.
I was
Yeah.
thinking about Middle Ages in general.
Okay, here's the problem I have. They give us a tutorial after we kind of already had all the tutorials we'll need.
Okay,
I guess you can.
Now,
I guess
okay,
you can
granted,
use
granted.
shield.
Okay, I will say this. It does teach us this one new thing, but honestly, it sort of feels like, why not just start from this point, honestly, and just have all the tutorial given here?
I don't quite know what to tell you, Jova. So yeah, now he's started teaching us how to parry, basically, and how to combo and basic combos. The problem is, again, this game only has one combo. That's all it is. You have the shield and the sword, and you can either alternate between those two. And that's literally it. There's little to no combo variety in this game. It's not like in God of War where you can unlock a shit ton of combos over the course of the game.
Why not blind him by stabbing his eyes with that fur on his helmet?
Because,
Sharp.
Dwibs, he's our father. We don't want to blind him. Come on, Dwibs.
I think he's
Remember
asking
the
why
edit-
the father
Pedro,
doesn't do
sorry.
that.
Oh my God, the father of our protagonist is played by Nick Brimble, a notorious British actor. He was Little John in 1991's Robin Hood, the one with Kevin Costner.
Oh, I like
Oh,
that
yeah.
movie.
Allow me to get into what Jova was talking about earlier. Yeah. Here, as you can probably already guess, everybody, the combat is just this. It's very, very basic. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It's not badly designed. It's just that this combat is way too simplistic to carry an entire game. Like, you're just doing the exact same thing over and over, and trust me, it gets old fast.
And if they
When
wanted
you're-
to have the
considering
gameplay
fact that
be
you're
so
always
simple.
fighting... Go ahead.
If they wanted to have the gameplay be so simple, do what something like Assassin's Creed or the Arkham games do. Have simple gameplay, but have different enemy varieties that force you to mix things up and work differently with your moveset.
Sure. I have no problem with a game having gameplay that is not necessarily, super complex or all that stuff. I love plenty of games that like Last Guardian or Death Stranding that have gameplays that is very simplistic and all that stuff. However, that's fine. What I can't exactly tolerate is repetition, and this game is so repetitive. Like, you're always just doing the one same thing over and over and over and over and over. But anyway, cutscene.
They have mastered the sword, but never rush to meet the world with it drawn.
Do you get the
What does that
moral,
mean?
folks?
It first.
Oh, okay.
I've heard rumors there is great unrest in Rome.
Yes, these.
Yeah, was this during that time when Rome had those few years of peace before crap hit the fan?
By the way,
Hey, you have to be a bit more specific, Jova.
by the way, Father, shouldn't we have Italian accents?
What's referred to as the golden era of
What about
peace
spicing
for-
up with the actual Latin?
Hold on, this is actually important, the stuff that Tay already knows, but the uninitiated like those might need to hear. So.
Oh.
To me. When your time comes to command men of your own, think back on what I'm about to tell you.
Oh?
And now God of War style flashback.
Damocles was a great
A flashback within a flashback.
Another flashback, Jesus.
Yeah, the overall aesthetic of this flashback, yeah, this is so clearly inspired by
Please,
God of
like
War.
that.
It's like I said, guys. I hope you like flashbacks because that is quite possibly this game's fetish.
Like the overall hand-painted aesthetic, like it's very reminiscent of how God of War does its
The
flashbacks.
contrasting colors. Yeah.
Specifically the Olympus Saga games.
Oh my god, look at all that blood and gore.
So yeah, Damocles was a general who got killed because his commanders abandoned
Because he
him in
wanted
battle.
to do Leroy Jenkins.
Sorry, a commander whose generals
When the
abandoned him.
slain
Oh,
Damocles
here.
arrived in the underworld, Nemesis, the goddess of revenge, was enraged at how the brave hero had been treated. She allowed Damocles to return to the world as a vengeful spirit, a ghostly, black-armored centurion who would hunt down and kill each of the generals who had wronged him.
That looks like something out of 300, that shot.
Yeah, armor inspiration.
I know, right?
Did I mention that it feels like the writers at some points went to the Frank Miller School of Writing? Admittedly, not the insane Frank Miller, but more like the middle point Frank Miller.
I don't know, Joe, but I don't care for this script, but I'll still take this over anything Frank Miller has done past.
No, Pedro. I'm talking about middle point Frank Miller, before he becomes the absolute bad writer he kind of is these days.
Oh shit. British barbarians attacking!
Are you sure they're British or not Germans?
That's the faint tale. Don't worry, it is. Trust me, I'm ahead in the game, so I know.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
And more recycled models.
Yay.
They're literally the same models from the, from the starting point of the game. Like, maybe change them up to show a change in time, but no.
Here's the thing. Here's another thing. Like I said, not only is the combat repetitive, it's insanely easy, as I've just demonstrated. Okay, God of War, even the God of War games, even on their easiest difficulties, are still challenging enough so that they're engaging. Like this game, on the other hand, is just so. And before you ask everybody, even though I'm playing on
Easy mode.
On easy mode, I've seen Fraser from video games also little opening playthrough in. Hold on.
In hard mode.
Oh no! The girls!
Oh no.
And there you go. Our mom and sister have been killed off screen. Sorry, Lips.
Before we could even meet the sister.
Yes, the
oh
sister.
God,
we didn't even see the sister's face, much less get a line from her.
Oh my
Jesus
God,
Christ.
Hey Marius, maybe I might want to moat a bit more given the deaths.
That's the thing, Joe, but he only emotes when his father gets killed. Not so much.
Also,
I guess he only likes his father.
Spoilers! But
I guess he only likes his father, really.
Can I mention something instead? Another, it's a minor thing, I know, but something that I noticed. The cutscenes tend to keep the HUD inside them, at least partially. It does remind me a bit of the early presentations of the PS4 and the Xbox One, where you got games like Deep Down that were clearly, cutscenes with a fake HUD painted on top of it to give the simulation we were in game. It's kind of distracting.
Yeah, but like I was saying, the combat in this game is ridiculously easy. Combined with the fact that there's little to it, it causes the game to be a very, very repetitive, shallow gameplay experience.
How long is the game?
Like 8 hours or so. So it's basically 8 hours, and most of them is just doing this over and over and over and over and over. And like I said, you regain most of your health every time you do one of these QTE sections, which makes it practically impossible to get killed in these moments.
I guess the reason they did it that way is because for the most part you're fighting enemies one-on-one, so they consider like each fight as its own encounter. But still, though, it does feel a little too easy. I mean, who knows? Maybe it's tougher on hard mode. Oh wait, or does it function like that in hard mode too?
I was about to get to that. I've seen Fraser's opening hours playthrough of this game in Centurion mode, aka the hard mode, not the hardest, because you have to complete the game once to unlock the hardest mode. On hard, the only difference that I could tell from his playthrough and mine is that the enemies damage you more. Like you can only get hit like 3 times and you're dead, really. But they just change how easier it is to drain your life. Really, the combat itself doesn't change. It's just a matter of how much damage you take from hits.
I guess some people may consider it tougher in there, or did he breeze through it?
Well, he's actually really good at the game, way better than me, actually. So to be fair, that's the thing, Jova. Okay, that's fine. It's nice that the enemies will damage you more, which means you can't dawdle as much.
The problem is still the repetition.
Yeah, that doesn't solve the repetition problem. Like I've said, the God of War games, even in their easiest mode, are always still engaging. So it doesn't. There are plenty. Not even just God of War. There are plenty of games that have easy modes that don't necessarily oversimplify the gameplay.
Oh yeah,
this
absolutely.
The problem is that it's not even a matter of easy mode or hard mode. The gameplay, by its very own core foundation, is way too simplistic. Again, I'm not even kidding you guys. Oh, and by the way, you know those QTEs that I'm doing? Oh, hold on, the cutscene now. I think. Yeah.
Oh no, Tio, Rome's in trouble.
Again.
Dang. You know, Rome in history is like New York in the MCU.
Okay, look, look at this fat guy. Get used to him because the game loves to reuse this enemy the most. We'll be finding so many clones of this guy throughout the game. It's insane.
I got nothing. This is just lazy.
What's your stance on the death of the mom and sister that we literally know nothing about? Like, the mom only had 5 lines of dialogue, and the sister, we didn't even see the sister alive.
It's a terrible example of preaching, one of the worst that I've seen recent times.
Honestly, I can't even remember the mom's name.
That's because
I don't think we got her name.
We never got her name, Dwibs.
Anyway,
Also,
in case you want to know who the writer is, the writer of this game is Stephen Hall. He's written for Doctor Who or radio dramas.
Hold on, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to interrupt you here. Yes, can I help you, lady?
Thank you. You're magic,
What the
apparently.
There lies your destiny.
Nemesis, is that you?
We'll get to it.
I mean, we did just get a story about Nemesis, and she does look suspiciously like Nemesis.
That's the thing, Jova. She reminds me a bit more of I don't remember the Roman name.
Who, Persephone?
That was a thing.
So yeah, bye, weird hallucination lady. Yeah, go ahead, let's finish.
Anyway, the guy wrote quite a few video games. He wrote Crisis 3, this game, and Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5.
Ooh.
I'm not familiar with the
Aside from
Battlefield.
Battlefield 1...
By Battlefield 1, I mean the World War 1.
Yeah, I can tell you that Battlefield 1 is actually a nice set of stories.
Like I said,
not
aside from
too
Battlefield
complex.
1, a lot of those are
Battlefield
stinkers.
5 is a bit more, but still, whatever.
A couple of things that I'd like to mention before we finish this. Okay, first of all, yeah, you know what, Dwibs? I'll just say this. I know that you're not exactly a big fan of the whole start a story with the protagonist's loved one dying thing, kind of like something like, for example, when Oliver's mom dies in Kuni 1 and stuff. But you have to have at least, at least in most cases, we actually get a basic sense of who the person who dies is. In here, we literally get jack shit. This is by far the worst execution of this trope I've ever seen. It's wow. But anyway, another thing. That's the thing. You know every time I press R2 for the QTE section of which is called an execution by the game, and just do the gold QTE stuff and you can kill the enemy. Here's the thing though. You don't actually have to do the QTE properly. Even if you press the wrong buttons, the execution will just keep going as normal. The only advantage in doing the QTEs properly is that you'll heal more health than you would have if you got it wrong. So even failing the QTE doesn't really penalize you in any meaningful way.
Yep.
So yeah, as you can probably see, everybody, the gameplay of this game is how should I put this in a nice way? Jova, you're better at this. Put this in a nice way.
The gameplay is fickle at best, questionable at midpoint, and just not that fun at worst.
It's a clear first experience on this subject from Crytek, but...
I want to emphasize this, though. There's nothing inherently wrong. Like, it's not badly designed. It works as intended. It's just, the intention is just, it works as intended, but it's still so shallow. Like, it's functional, but that's all I can say about it, really.
So when all else fails, then the game has its narrative to fall back on, and... whoo boy, the narrative of this game.
Talk Not to mention, what a bad start. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
suddenly the death of two characters who are very important to our protagonist, and we literally got 5 lines out of the mom, and we didn't even see the sister alive.
And this is all being told in flashback, which means that we're in a setting that we don't really know that much about under circumstances that we aren't that familiar with.
That too. Thanks, Jova. I promise. Last thing. To answer what Teo was saying, that's the thing, Teo. I don't mind the story being told in flashback. That's fine. The problem is the way it transitions into said flashback, where Marius just starts telling his life story to Nero for no real reason. Like, okay, you want to tell a story in flashback, fine, but find a way to transition to it that's more natural. That doesn't Like,
okay,
this is not,
like a good example
someone
is...
wrote in the script. Stephen Hall actually wrote in the script, and then Mario starts telling his life story to Emperor Nero, and there's no reason for him to do it, at all. It's
For example, Resident Evil Dark Side Chronicles, which is essentially a glorified clip show which has an original plot while mixing in stuff from Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil Code Veronica, gives good reasons for the flashback levels here and there. Like, one is Leon telling his partner about the Raccoon City incident. The other is him thinking back to something that has to do with the Code Veronica virus because that's brought up in the present day tale here and there. Like, there's a reason. Here, I just feel the need to confess because I think I'm going to die. Which
Anyway, everybody,
you'd think would be nice, but it doesn't really work.
All right, everybody. I guess we'll. And also, who the hell is that mysterious hallucination chick? I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Well, if even Tail doesn't know, then we're screwed, I guess. So see ya, everybody, for the next part.
See ya.
See ya.